Okay, so I'm going to do the full process. I want to align this frame, clamp one side so that doesn't go anywhere. Line the butt joint up. Then Garrett is OCD for a while. Then Garrett talks to himself for a little bit.
Garrett's assembling his frames for glue up. Each one is 3 layers, but 4 pieces. The middle layer needs a temporary butt block to stay perfectly aligned during the epoxy process.
Now, this is essentially one piece.
He's decided 2 epoxy sessions are in order.
Down.
First and second layer, then once cured, the final layer. Outside in natural suburbia, we're peculiar, a fish on land, constructing a boat to float.
Now I got this tacked together so I can cut this glue off.
The stainless nails in this layer will remain after glue up, and the next will have locating nails to align the final layer with ease once the slippery epoxy has been added. Garrett's not a fan of working with the sticky substance, time-sensitive superglue that inevitably gets everywhere, hence his preparation to avoid aggravation and streamline the assembly.
I'm just going to use these as location nails when I put this last layer back together. So I tack them through like that. There we go. Okay. Now you can see the tips of these nails are sticking out a little bit, so I'll leave them like that so that when I go to put this thing back together, the nails will drop in those pre-made holes, and that'll line this outside tooth up. So now I just have to get my gluing station fully set up. I have to get everything prepped so that we'll have the best chance of everything going smoothly and quickly once I mix the epoxy. Because, yeah.
Epoxy's not your favorite?
I hate epoxy. And it's even more annoying when things don't go properly. It's a love-hate. Epoxy is an incredible thing. Super useful, super strong thing. I just don't like the sticky, chemically stuff. That's why I'm a woodworker. That's why I build things out of wood, but this is my first go at such a modern build style, I suppose. Stitching glue. Everything is so lightly built, and so much of the strength is because of epoxy. The entire hull is just put together with epoxy and fiberglass, so it's a very, very different build style. But it makes a really light, strong boat, which is good for us because we can get the aesthetic of the traditional boat, but have a super light boat that's also really tough. You know, you can bang it around on the shore and it won't stress our davits.
20 pieces are about to become 5. The 5 frames or ribs for our 10-foot ship-to-shore transportation. Our summer project to escape the heat of Mexico and stay busy.
I knew Garrett was going to be bored during this time, so I'm really glad that he's able to build the dinghy in his dad's backyard. This gives Garrett something to do, something for us to film, and yeah, it's nice. Nice building again. I mean, so far it's just been Garrett building. I've just been doing a little filming and catching up on a lot of editing and taking a lot of showers.
Garrett's also been exercising his green thumb, another plus to having space, finding the spice to life no matter where we are. He's also introduced himself to the neighbors, working on his Disney princess moment.
We've bonded.
The mating pair and the oleander are curious what their featherless friend is building. We have an unusual choice in nest.
Got some wax paper, so I got everything laid up where I want to glue it up so that I know I have enough room.
Is there enough light left in the day?
Yeah, but I don't know if there's enough gas left in my tank. Alright, so I'm just getting ready to glue all the frames up, and I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and do it in 2 stages because I don't want to rush. I don't need to rush, and you know, working with epoxy is no fun anyway, so make it the easiest that I can do it. I've got the 2 halves separated, so I'll go ahead and wipe these down with some alcohol and then coat them up with epoxy. Then I'll flip this over and that'll line itself up with the little nails that are sticking out.
He needed to make spacers the same size as the temporary butt block to keep the frame level, but
Slight change in plans because it became way too much of a pain to try to find enough small but heavy things to put on top of these to make sure they glue flat. After thinking about it for a little bit, instead of doing what I was just talking about, I'm gonna not use the however many of these stupid things I just put tape on. I'll do the glue and I'll clean all the spill out as best as I can, and then I'll flip them back over and just use these little kind of, I don't know, table clamps, scraps of plywood, and then just using 2 screws directly down into the table. That whole thing just clamps it down nice and tight. Finish making all these little table clampy things, and then hopefully I'll be ready to glue it up.
now with the middle layer face up, he can evenly provide pressure, clamping directly to the worktop. Not every idea makes the final cut. It's strictly for the birds. But let's talk turkey. This is all to prevent ruffled feathers, getting our ducks in a row, and making sure this dinghy isn't a bad egg. We just don't want any cockeyed frames. Okay, I'm done with the bird idioms.
I'll put the dumbbell here and the 2 tow hitches there, and then I'll use the bucket of bolts on that one, and this heavy thing. That should be good.
And the sledgehammer?
And the sledgehammer, yeah.
Still using some heavy items to get situated, the first batch of epoxy is readied.
Burping the pumps?
Yeah.
Garrett wants slightly thickened epoxy to bond the layers together.
Professional. All right.
He's a professional, ladies and gentlemen.
So you did it.
Fresh gloves in my pocket if you need it.
The table clamps ultimately proved the best, and he did away with any additional weight.
That's the sketch one.
Wow.
So that's the little one that doesn't. That's the first time he's ever done that.
This is what Garrett does while he's waiting for epoxy to cure.
I make friends with the scrub case. Hey, bud. How's it going? They're my friends. Alright, it's the next day, so I'm gonna pull all these clamps off of the frames and see how the glue up went. And if that all goes smoothly, then I'm gonna glue up the last of the frames and the skeg with that same technique while I do the third and final layer on these. I decided to just do it half and half because I kind of ran out of clamps and I didn't feel like making more. I think that worked well. A little bit of cleanup that I need to do, but not too bad.
He reset his station after catching up the remaining frames and is ready for the final layer on all 5 frames.
Okay, I got all the frames fully glued up. So now I just need to undo all these clamps, pull them up, start on cleaning them up. They all have, just epoxy runoff and stuff that I couldn't scrape up when I was actually doing the glue up. So I'll have to pull them off and then clean up all the edges, take the router and just round all the corners. I want to do all the prep work on the frames before I get them installed in the boat because it'll be a lot harder to do it at that point. And then I'll probably go ahead and just do a coat of epoxy on everything just to make sure they're all sealed up and good to go, because it'll also be easier to do before I put them into the boat. I can't start on my planks yet because I still need to get more plywood. And so for the time being, to keep me busy, I'll just keep doing all the detail work on the frames. And then once I can go buy some more plywood, then I can get going on the planks. And then the hull should start to come together really quickly once I get the planks done. I think this is going to be one of the more time-consuming parts of the whole project, building the frames, because there's so many pieces, and then figuring out how to assemble them and properly glue them, clamp them, line them all up so everything comes out nice and true. That took a while. So yeah, I think now that I'm kind of past the worst of this point, then things will start to move along a little quicker, and I'll have more to show, something that starts to look like a boat actually. And hopefully my clamps aren't glued to the frames too bad. I probably should have put, it was fine on the other side because it didn't have this kind of lip here on the top. Everything, all the epoxy just drained off really nicely, but when I squeezed them in, that lip kind of made the epoxy push up, so I think most of these clamps got glued a little bit on the corners. I should have done them all like this, where I put a layer of blue tape down on the bottom of the clamps. I'm gonna have to deal with that a little bit, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, well, what's up, dude? They didn't stick too bad at all, so no issues there. Yeah, everything looks really good. think the glue up went well. Not too much cleanup to do.
The frames came out very solid. I would never trust myself to do this with an oscillating saw, but I have nowhere near the amount of hours Garrett has. As soon as he could reach the tools, his dad taught him how to use them.
Okay, I've got the frames cleaned up enough. Hold on. I got the frames cleaned up enough. I'm not going for perfection. This is going to be a working dinghy for a full-time cruising boat, so it's going to get, you know, beat up, it's going to get scuffed up, so I'm not trying to make a showboat here. This is just a working dinghy. Now I just need to hit the edges with a router, because it's also a lot easier to do on the workbench versus when it's actually glued in place in the boat. I'm going to route the edges on both sides, then just give it a light finish sand, and then it'll be ready for an epoxy coating.
Reed got jealous and wanted his princess moment too.
Keep going.
Taking it back to her home.
One frame complete. Woo!
Up next, thanks to viewers like you, we buy more plywood and move on to planking.